What's up, people? It is your boy Chris with a K, Chris Griffin. I'm here with my guy, Jawan Smith from Unfair Sports. That guy, he's here again. He's ready to talk some more youth football. Man, it's crazy. Hold on one second, people. We got the legend, the myth. We got JP at Indy Sooner in the building as well. So
Okay.
I mean, hell, guys, no further ado. We'll just save all the all the rest of the stuff for later. But instant reaction. What were you guys thinking? Jawan, I'll let you go first.
Keeping it a buck, this is exactly what I expected out of this regime. They walked in, they exerted their dominance in a very vanilla way. You could tell that the offense and the defense wasn't out there being fancy. They just went out there and handled business, and I loved it. It looked exactly like I wanted, what I expected. They were physical. There was a miscues on the offensive line, but there were some changes that happened initially. But outside of that, honestly, they were physical. They fought through everything. You saw the defense actually tackling, something we haven't really seen in the last few years. And the offensive line was out there muscling folks. So I'm happy. I mean, the fact that Eric Gray got over 100 yards in this game told me that that offensive line did its job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't feel embarrassed, and I can actually show up places the rest of this week.
What about you, JP? What's up, man?
Yeah, no, I was pleased for sure. We covered, which I don't know if we did that at all last year. um,
Good point.
so like Jay said, I mean, they came in here, they did what needed to be done, they took care of business, and I had to call out some fans that during that second quarter they started to get some PTSD from last year, like, oh, we're not running the ball. The defense, the DBs look crazy. I'm like, guys, it's a new regime. It's the first week. Like, y'all need to calm down. And on cue, I think there was the next possession. We got 3 and out, and then we went down the field and scored by mostly running the ball. And then DG hit a little pop pass to Braden Willis in the back of the end zone. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with where we are, and I think it's just going to get better from here. I don't think we saw the best out of either unit, and to come away with a 32-point win when last year, week one, we're talking about escaping Tulane, I
Yeah.
think is a huge positive.
So one of the things that I'll point out, me and my uncle were kind of going back and forth about this, is that uh, Dylan Gabriel, he thought that, hey man, he missed Theo Weiss on that pass on when Theo Weiss was running like that corner route kind of or so, and look, he was wide open. So I got what he was saying. My whole thing is that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. Definitely got some things to work out. You look at a lot of the stuff that happened. I think those 2 drives where they moved the ball and they were able to score. I think that's great for film. You need stuff like that because now you can go back and see what you need to work on. Then also I mean, they kind of said it towards the end of the game. The commentators, I mean, they were running really a base defense. They weren't doing anything crazy. Like Juwan said, it wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't the complete install. It was just basically a basic defensive coverage. And one of the things that I want to say is that you would think that we would have got probably a better pass rush. However, I'm fine with the defense today. I definitely think that there are some things that we do need to work on if you're going to be running zone or whatever the case may be. Because when we came after him, we had a lot of success and we got him to throw cross body. Now he connected on some throws. He made some throws, cross body throws in the middle of the field, but you didn't leave this game feeling like you did with Tulane, where on 3rd and 15, 3rd and 12, and all the rest of that, you're sitting there giving up those plays right to the tight end who's sneaking right there in the middle, right? Just sitting right there, doing a
Mm-hmm.
hitch route right there in the middle. But and that's something else I give his defense as well. 3rd and 23 is like 3rd and 1 against OU, or at least that's what it's been notoriously for the past like 3 or 4 years. So the fact that you're not giving that up, you got to give kudos to them. Secondary, I think secondary is going to improve. Not really worried about that. Just want to see a little bit more aggressiveness or whatnot. But at the same time, we were kind of playing a soft zone, kind of baiting him into throwing that. And there were a couple of times where we could have had a couple of picks, but I don't know. Um, I'll get a mic to you, JP, here in a second. But what I was going to say is that overall for Dylan Gabriel, hey, if we had the Dylan Gabriel in those first 2 drives, with those first 3 passes, making plays like that, because he was throwing he threw some NFL throws like, hey, I'm gonna throw you open. It's gonna be tight, but I'm gonna throw you open. And he had Mills looking really good early on. So if we get that Dylan Gabriel for the rest of the year, I'm confident in this team. I think the sky will be the limit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And reiterating your point, right, on the defense. I mean, they clearly were, like you said, vanilla, and we're doing a lot of soft zone. I mean, we know how aggressive Brent Venables' scheme is, and can we really honestly sit there and say the whole day we saw supreme aggression? And as far as like the scheme goes, yes. As far as the players go, and them giving uncommon effort, which the commentators always talked about. We saw that a lot, right? We saw great tackling, great gang tackling to the ball. But I'm just talking about as a scheme. Did you guys feel like you saw a lot of aggressiveness from the defense as a whole, as far as like play calling?
To me, it didn't look like there was much blitzing. It didn't look like there was super aggressive when it comes to scheming on the defensive side, but it makes sense. Like you said, this is a new. We all know there's new regime, new defense, new scheme, new setup. So it's going to take time for them to build the confidence in the players. Even though you do it in practice, you're going against your own people, and everybody's going. When they're going 100% speed, they're still kind of going half speed because they're going against their own people. It's not like they're truly going up against an opponent, the true opposition, and they're going to be able to really put in their force. Because the one thing they don't want to do is injure their teammates. So the last thing is you want to be the guy that put Eric Gray out for the season. You don't want to have that on your conscience. So overall in practice, yeah, I mean, they put it in there, but they didn't really show it. And so in this game, it looks like they're building up to really getting very aggressive and mixing things up. Kent State will probably see a little bit more, and then we'll see the package come in Nebraska, depending on what Nebraska looks like. Because if we go into Lincoln and Nebraska's looking like they're already defeated, probably won't see much of the new schemes. They'll probably go in there, assert their dominance in the first couple drives, get up 21-0, and then just pull back again. I don't like that. I really would like them to keep their foot on the gas, but they still have the rest of the Big 12 games to play. So I would understand against a team like Nebraska where you kind of can do that, but I expect seeing more when we go up against Kent State. But I did want to give one shout out, though. I want to shout out the fans that actually stayed and went there. I'm down here in Dallas in Plano at a soccer tournament with my son. I thought I was going to die out there in that sun. Literally, I'm sweating as we speak in this hotel room. It's about 100 degrees here with humidity. It's probably 110 there in Oklahoma with 140 on the field. And the fans that stayed out there, shout out to y'all. Y'all deserve a lot of respect from me because I couldn't do it. Y'all better than me. I would have left just like the rest of those fans did at halftime, realized that this game is over, and it's hot. Because y'all don't understand. It's hot in that stadium, and it's hot here in Dallas. So shout out to y'all.
So one of the things, JP, what were your thoughts about Dylan Gabriel overall from start to finish?
I did lose y'all.
No, you still.
Yeah, Dylan.
You still here, Jawan? No, I was talking to Jay. What did you say?
I was just saying that Dylan Gabriel, I thought he did really well. He missed a couple throws. He missed a throw to Weiss on the sideline. But overall, I felt like he had really good command of the offense, did what he wanted to do. And again, I don't think we saw everything from the offense either. You had some balls that got batted down, different things like that. But overall, I mean, he was very efficient. He didn't turn the ball over, which was important. And he showed his legs, which I think will be important moving forward. And he made the right decisions and the right reads on the read option, right? Which, at times we didn't always see with Caleb or Spencer in the last couple of years. Sometimes they didn't make the right reads or whatnot. And so, that was a surprising element for me. I knew he could run a little bit, but, the move he made for his first touchdown was pretty nice, for sure. And, Jimmy saying he wasn't impressed. I don't think he had the best opening game for a Sooners quarterback ever, but, we scored 45, right? I guess 42 with him in there. I don't think it's shabby by any stretch of the imagination. And, again, it's his first game in the Palace. It's his first game just with Oklahoma in general. Yeah, he knows the scheme, but it's everybody's first game together as a cohesive unit. And so I expect it just to get better from here, to be honest with you. Obviously, when we play tougher teams, we'll see what it evolves into. But, man, how fast they were going when we got up 21-0, I mean, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough on a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, especially if you can run the ball the way that you were running. I think one of the things that I want to see Gabriel do that I kind of notice that he has a tendency to do uh, is he goes through his progressions, but it's almost like he's square, he's ready to lock and load and send that rocket off, right? But it's almost like he turns his back away from the side that he's not throwing to. Did you guys notice that? I mean, he's staying square, he's staying level. I get what he's doing, but it's almost like, hey, you got guys running wide open underneath. It's almost like you're not seeing the field. You're trying to keep your head on the swivel, but you're back the way that you are. And I mean, hey, quarterback gurus out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seemed like he was kind of taking half of the field away. But at the same time, like you said, I kind of piggyback off of that as well. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be fine. Keeping it vanilla, you didn't really see a lot of guys out there as well. They stayed consistent. That was one of the things that you're happy about seeing on some of the fourth downs. Granted, you probably don't want to see us go to a fourth down, but at the same time, you're happy that we can actually convert those 4th and 1s, those 4th and 2s. You're happy that in the trenches we were able to really create those gaps and create those running lanes. This is the best Gray has looked in an OU jersey. Now, my uncle says I hate that slow ass juke move that he does, but I'm just like, it's a part of his game. I think he's twitchy. But at the same time, like I said, this is the best he's looked. Majors look good out there. I mean, you got a lot of talent on the field, but I mean, like I said, they just kept it really vanilla today. But I'm excited to see what happens going forward.
I don't think I saw them. I don't think Dylan Gabriel got rolled out or moved the pocket. They moved the pocket for him at all today, which is something that he does really well. So that again to me says that there was a lot of vanilla going on, at least in my opinion. Because again, you want to do what your quarterback does super well. And again, I think they were just trying to hit some specific things today, in my opinion. Once they got to 21-0, obviously they're not going to be perfect and score every single possession, as some fans believe that they should. But at the end of the day, I thought that he had a pretty solid game. I'd give him a B, probably for his.
Yeah, I would give him a B minus, and that would be gracious. I would say somewhere between a C plus and a B minus, to be honest with you, simply because I think that he's even going to be critical of himself, because I think he's going to say, hey, I expect more from myself. That was a good, solid performance, but I can do better, right? So with that being said, kind of moving on to the run game, what were your thoughts about the run game and just kind of the trenches? It looks like, and I don't know because we haven't really seen all that much of Wanye Morris, but do you think we were missing him a lot today?
I think maybe a little bit. I really liked the way Guyton played. I thought he blocked really well, especially in the run blocking scheme. I thought he did really well. Yeah, with Eric Gray, I thought he had a great game. Don't get me wrong, but there was, I think I tweeted out or sent in one of my group chats. I was like, if he does that juke move one more time instead of just getting the extra 2 to 3 yards,
Yeah.
because there was one time he was 2 or 3 yards from a first down, and instead of just going forward and would have had it, he goes and then gets tackled. And I'm like,
yeah. It's kind of like Trey Sermon back in his OU days. Trey Sermon, when he was just downhill, north and south, amazing. But sometimes he danced way too much before he would hit the hole. It was like that's the only difference between you and Brooks. Brooks hits the hole and goes. It's literally no difference. You're dancing back there. Brooks is like one cut, I'm gone. So, Jay, what about you? What do you think about the running game and kind of the offensive line? Do you think they were missing Morris today, that continuity, or were you fine?
I'm satisfied. Eric Gray ran for 106 yards on 16 carries. I would have never thought that he'd get 100 yards rushing in a game. He feels like a change of pace guy. He doesn't feel like a feature back. He's never felt like a feature back. And I'm probably stuttering here right now, but that's not something that I've ever felt like out of him, even though I adore him. I did like the way the line was blocking. It looked like the offensive line actually played like a unit. I mean, the miscues, of course, are going to happen because they don't play all the time together, especially with Wanye Morris out. I'm happy with the way this looked. There's got to be some tightening up, which will happen this week. They'll get all of the kinks out going into Kent State. And like I said, they'll be prepared for Nebraska. And I think that's the most important thing. They're not going to overlook Kent State. They're going to be using that to tune up everything properly and then go up to Lincoln and go get a real W. Just even though Nebraska's really not that good, get a W that everybody's going to care about. That's the W we all care about. And so besides that, seeing Eric Gray as well as Major looks like he may have a breakout year. This might be his year. We may have to go ahead and let Marcus Major go ahead and take the feature back position and let Eric Gray just step out there and for real be a change of pace guy. You can put him out in the flats. You can put him out there at the slot. I like Gray moving around. Give it to Major and let him up the middle.
I'll piggyback off of that. I think Marcus Majors, this is his style of ball. I think this is his style of physicality, putting his head down. I was like, when that one of the touchdowns that he got, I was like, he damn near broke that dude's kneecaps. I mean, literally, like he said, "Hey, I'm going low. I'm about to get that." But that's the type of back that he is. And if he can take care of the ball, he's going to be nice as well. And then you saw some flashes as well. Javonte Barnes looked pretty good, minus the fumble, obviously, but he looked pretty good out there. So, I mean, I'm not down on the offensive line. I think there's still some things we could have had a cleaner pocket for Gabriel. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with Gabriel and the offensive line. I think we could have had a little bit more of a cleaner pocket, but at the same time, again, guys, look, it's not time to press a panic button or anything. It's literally the first game of the year. Nowhere near Tulane and nowhere near Michigan State last night. Texas A&M earlier this morning. A bunch of these teams that are ahead of us or a little bit behind us have struggled today with teams that they were supposed to beat by a lot. The spread was a lot for those teams. So. Week one for a lot of people, knocking the rust off, but you have to be encouraged with the tackling, a lot of the fundamentals of it all. So defensively, moving on to it, what did you guys see? I think now, everybody has been saying Ethan Downs this, Ethan Downs that. I think Grimes is going to have a hell of a year this year. I think he's going to be extremely active. And I think they're going to put him in positions to really use his speed, but also his tech. That's one of the things that we've talked about on our podcast an awful lot, Seth and I, and my aunt, he pointed it out. When we had Trey Brown, one of the biggest knocks on Trey Brown was the fact that it was more speed than it was technique. He relied more on his speed to be able to beat guys than technique at times. And that's what caught. And I think the same thing can be said about Reggie Grimes. Reggie Grimes is a pretty fast guy, even for his size. However, he hasn't always been able to finish. And that's one of the things that you're seeing. Seeing the transfer from Hawaii out there, Ethan Downs, the interior linemen, they are active. And I like that. And you're not seeing a lot of twisting and stunning, but you're seeing some stuff. Here and there, you would see a couple of exotic things, but mostly, I just like the fact that, hey, we were just going one-on-one and trying to beat our man. And I think that helped an awful lot. And it looks like it's helping the linebackers as well, because now guys like Deshaun White, Stutzman, and Agwebu, they can just be more instinctual and just kind of play off of that and actually do what they need to do, their assignments and all that, instead of having to worry about a lot of things. JP, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean – trying to make sure I say this in the right way, because I don't know. I've offended some people today already. We get restated for me so I can get my head clear.
Basically, what were your thoughts about in particular on defense? What were your thoughts about the D line? The D line, pretty much the front seven today.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that they didn't give much pressure as I initially expected them to. But, again, I did like how they once, a lot of times, I forgot the kid's last name, but once he left the pocket, that's when you saw Grimes and then Downs get their sacks, was being able to,
Hardison.
Hardison assess where he was and then get to him rather quickly, with great effort. And a lot of those are covered sacks too, which is nice, because again, I had a friend of mine in the chat that was like, man, our DBs are trash. And then right after he said that, we had 2 straight covered sacks in a row. I was like, man, trash DBs helping get sacked, but whatever. But yeah, I think that as we continue to see them we continue to see them get tape and whatnot, especially Ethan, because I don't think he had the day that he probably expected to have. But I think we'll see them get better. They weren't in the backfield a ton. I saw Jordan Kelly in the backfield a ton, on the defensive line. Jalen Redmond had, a couple times where he was close to a tackle for loss and didn't quite get there. But, I think we can expect to see better out of the defensive ends moving forward. And I don't think they had a terrible game necessarily, but, probably not up to their standards.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what JP said. I kind of was hoping for more pressure. I was hoping for more sacks, even though they got some sacks. They got some really good sacks, actually, too. I expected a little bit more of that, but I love the activity of the hands. They were active. You could tell they were knocking down passes. They were getting in the QB's face. They were chasing. He was running for his life in a few stuff. It was all over the place. And Hardison, we talked about this before. They comped him to like Josh Allen at Wyoming. Now, don't think of Josh Allen, Buffalo Bill guy. Think about him Wyoming when he was throwing like 40-something% completion. He was looking pretty bad, but he had an arm and he didn't mind slinging it. That was the kind of the thing with that soft zone. That's what hurt that, because if you got a guy that can actually throw it really hard and possibly get it over your guy's hands, there's going to be completions. There's nothing you can do about that. And that's kind of where that vanilla defense came in. That's just the only reason why I didn't freak out about that portion of it. It's because you can tell they did not install all the crazy stuff that we're going to see over the next few weeks. It was vanilla. It was base. It was simple. It was go out there, execute. If you can execute on this, you can execute on anything else I throw at you. And that's what they did. They executed on the basics. They tackled. They gang tackled. They got pressure on the quarterback. They did get some sacks, and they prevented big plays from happening. They didn't let them go deep. They didn't let them burn anybody. Yeah. They caught it underneath, and they hit the ground right afterwards. That's the type of defense you need if you're going to compete with any of these SEC schools.
So 2 things that you said I think are key. So a few weeks ago, we brought on Adrian Broadus. Shout out to him for coming on to the show. 600 ESPN radio, El Paso, if you guys are out there. He talked about the Miners, and we talked about some of the games that I had watched last year when they played UTSA, when UTEP was playing. A few other opponents, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I went back on YouTube, found all those games, and just kind of saw what were the things that they like to do, what are their tendencies. They love screen plays, and we blew those up today. And they love to try to get you matched up with their wideouts to try to go deep. They like to go vertical. So that was something, those are 2 great takeaways that you had, Jay, simply because that's what they want to do. Their offense can be physical at times. They would like to be more finesse and be able to just air it out and get their guys who they think are better than yours and kind of get those guys on the island. But the fact that you were able to kind of take that away, you could see that they had game planned for that well, but they were able to work those intermediary routes. And so you're kind of looking at that, and I think some people are saying, regardless of how Nebraska plays or has played these first 2 weeks, Nebraska is going to give us their best game. Casey Thompson is going to try to air it out. Whipple is going to try to air it out. Now, Whipple got the best of Clemson last year with Venables there, but I think Venables still has gotten the better of him in that career matchup, right? So one of the things that you're looking for is just to see, okay, can we stop the intermediary game? Can we actually get off the field? That was something I was definitely wanting to see the defense do today. Just get off the damn field on 3rd down. Yeah. Those 4th down plays, those holds and stuff. Can we do that? You got to get off the field. But at the same time, like I said, to go back and watch that film on UTEP and see what their tendencies were and see it actually translate to game day where we're taking away the screens that they want to run and we're forcing them to actually work the field, have to work the field to score because they're used to big plays in their own right whenever they're playing in their league or whatever the case may be. They're used to big plays happening. So to be able to take those two things away from them and make them have to work the field and only score what was it 13 points, JP?
13.
Yeah,
Yeah, 13. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Let me piggyback on what you just said real quick before you jump in, JP. And this is something that you said that's really critical to remember. We made UTEP do the stuff that they don't like to do. Flores is a monster. I've actually watched some of his play. He can catch and he can dip. I saw him make a cut on us, and I was like, oh, he might be. Oh, okay, we stopped him. Good, thank goodness. Whew. Thought he was going to be gone. That's one thing to think about. But the other thing to consider in this, and this is the reason why I think we're going to struggle when it comes to getting like a shutout game. This offense is not conducive to shutting out opponents. At a certain point, your defense is going to get a little tired if your offense is scoring within like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're literally living on the field. So unless they can do constant 3 and outs and 3 and outs and 3 and outs, eventually they're going to break through a 3 and out. They're going to break through and it's going to be a longer possession for the opposition just because our offense, we scored 21 points before the 6-minute mark. That's crazy. Like, if you really think about that, that's 21 points. And we did not get turnovers. It was full length. Hell, we was at, the 2 whenever we had all those false starts? Mm-hmm. We were going full field and scored 21 points before the 6-minute mark. That is huge. That also tells you how fast that offense is going. So if anything, I know that this was something, I forgot what article I read that talked about this, but that was kind of one thing that Venables kind of was telling Levy, hey, can we make sure we run the ball enough to where our defense can get a break? Because no matter what we do on offense, we're going to look up, the defense is going right back on the field. And we are rotating a lot of young players. We're trying to get them up to speed with everything. Yeah. The good thing is we've got Kent State to try to iron that stuff out up to Nebraska.
Yeah, and I think you even saw an in-game adjustment, right? With that, like I said, I think when we hit that rough spot where, man, they scored 10 straight unanswered points, and you get some stuff on the TL, here we go again, yada yada. Then you see Levy again respond with a run-heavy drive after a 3 and out. Right, defense came out, got back-to-back sacks, covered sacks. Then we get 3 and out. Then we, immediately go on a run-heavy drive, ends up with that Braden Lewis touchdown in the red zone. And so I think, and even really from then on, it was still pretty run-heavy from that point. And so, I think that's the nice thing about Levy is, we're going to see him adjust to a lot of things. I think sometimes in Riley's system over the last couple of years, sometimes like he was his own worst enemy, right? That's why everybody says rush 3, drop 8. Levy, if you do that, he's
engage Jay.
He's going to go down your throat. You know what I mean? So, but no, I think that ultimately, like you said, Jay, Kent State's probably going to be the ones that's going to get whooped in that way. I mean, I'm hoping we drop, 100 on them and shut them out next week.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what people were expecting in this game. They wanted to see. I mean, hell, we started out that way. It slowed down, but like I said, I was more positive than I was negative about things simply because I just understand what it is and what it was. Whenever it was 21-10 and they had a little bit of momentum, we went down. They got sacks back to back and just basically killed that drive.
We said
so,
bet. I said we said bet.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, bet. Let's get it. So,
but look at their drives though. Look at these drives. Like those 2 touchdowns, those 2 scores, the field goal and the touchdown. That was a 7-minute and 31-second drive, and then a 5-minute and 12-second drive. That was 12 minutes of game time in UTSA's hands. Like I said before that, we were flying out there 1 minute possession, 1 minute 48 possession, 30-second possession. It was boom, 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 boom. Eventually, you're going to get a little bit of exhaustion, and then like you said, we'll make adjustments. Let's focus on getting the run. unless you do what Gavin Freeman did and just dip for 48 yards and like
Mhm.
30
Yeah.
something seconds. It's kind of hard to stop, slow the game down if you're just going to run past everybody. But the good
Right.
thing is that just added nothing but icing on the cake. Get that score so far out of reach that it's like, all right, they're going to lay down eventually.
A key point in the game, not even on the field, but just when one of the commentators said, I really paid attention and I thought it was a great point. And he was talking about how Dana Dimmel or whatnot, the head coach for UTEP, was basically on record for saying that whenever you have to plan for a full installed scheme of Brent Venables, that's whenever it's really difficult because of all the different things that he throws at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, another thing that I would also tell a lot of Sooner fans to think about this right here. Now I know we're superior with this and that and everything, but I will say this: two things on two fronts. One, UTSA wasn't too long ago that UTSA and UTEP were playing, and I think UTEP was like 6-2, 7-1, one or the other, and then UTSA was 8-0, and everybody was crying about the fact that wasn't where College Game Day went, right? So these teams are actually coming off of really good seasons. Tried to warn y'all. Y'all saw what Gabe said. Y'all love to follow Gabe, and he said it too. Tried to tell y'all this quarterback is better than what you think. These past 2 years, we've played two quarterbacks that basically they've taken an ass whooping. They were running for their lives, but guess what? They kept getting up and they kept fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those guys got heart. They got pride, so they're going to play as well. Then the other thing that I will also say is that Dana Dimel comes from that Snyder tree. So guess what he's going to do? Guess what he's going to do? He's not going to come out there and try to out-athlete OU. He's going to try to slow the game down and try to nickel and dime it and work the field because that's what OU told him to do, basically. And when he came out there and saw those coverages and saw the defense, he was like, oh, okay, I see what you want me to do. I got to work the field to earn this touchdown. So
He
that's
took
what I'm going to do.
what we gave him. He took what we gave him. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So when you think about that right there, in hindsight of this game, OU did exactly what they needed to do to secure the win. And maybe it wasn't in super dominant fashion, but if you kind of take those two things in the context, in my opinion, I think that kind of gets you there to say, okay, overreacting a bit, first game of the season. I understand what they're saying. Let's move on. Kent State beat Kent State. Now it's all about Kent State now. This game is in the past. It's all about Kent State, 1-0, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So with that being said, guys, we still got some games going on. So I just wanted to hop on here and see and just talk some football with y'all and see what y'all thought about it. So first off, just plug yourself, talk about where everybody can find all your stuff, but also first and foremost, if you guys have any parting shots or anything to say to the Sooner Nation or just about what you saw today in the game and what you're looking forward to next week, go ahead. Time is now. We'll start with you,
JP, lead us off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Indy_Sooner on Twitter. And, we do the JP and Trav show, my buddy Travis Davidson on Wednesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. So, we'll be back there this Wednesday. I'll be talking about the Kent State game. We'll be recapping, this past game and whatnot. And, Travis over there, Yo Pablo, with the ref right now. So I know he'll have some stories for us on Wednesday night. But, hey, make sure that you tune in next week as, hopefully we put the whooping on Kent State. Looks like Kent State didn't have a terrible offense. And so, I think it's going to be another test. And so we'll see what the defense is going to come up with. I also wanted to say, look, some of y'all that are on Twitter, you saw me call out the fans, okay, in the stadium, because I got some personal texts said, JP, like, this is pathetic, right? And so I said what I said. My intention was not towards any fans that were dealing with heat, right? I know it was hot out there. I know. I get it. I know. I understand. That's not at y'all. I'm just talking about the energy that was in the stadium. It's because it's been a problem for years, right? And if I could be there, I would. But I'm, 14 hours away, and my 6-month-old sleeping right there, so I can't just hop, anywhere and leave, right? So, but just know we just want the best, right? That's what BB said. We want to be the best as we're going towards the SEC, as we're pouring almost $200 million into these facilities. We as fans got to show up. We got to hold ourselves to a higher standard too. So that's all I wanted to say. I know it's all love, but yeah, Boomer.
Boomer's time.
Awesome. Well, you can find me, Jay or Jawan. I usually go by Jay, go by both Jawan as well. My personal is at Smithnith, at SMIZNITH. The show, Unfair Sports, at Unfair Sports. Find us on Twitter. Find us wherever podcasts that I don't listen to. For the random stuff, for OU content, you find us on YouTube at just search for Unfair Sports. Party piece on that, twofold. One, JP's right. Understand fans leaving because it's hot. Also, I've been to enough games to know that it don't be popping like it should be, but it's going to be because it's a new regime, it's a new world order. We're going to make the magic happen. So, fans, I expect that out of y'all. Also, if you want to scout Kent State, they play Washington tonight at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. They are 23.5-point dogs in this game. That tells me enough. If you're dogging to Washington, who's got a whole new regime too and a whole new setup for real, yeah, that tells me that we should be able to walk in there and do the same thing we did to them like we did to UTEP. So check us out. I'll be on, of course, Horns Down Podcast more often. Love hanging out with Chris and Seth as well as JP. Appreciate y'all having me on. I'm going to go run and hang out with my kid for a little bit. But with that, catch y'all in a bit.
All right, we'll see y'all.